Have you ever been there? You're in a dispute over your condo or your apartment. Maybe you suspect something's not quite right with the accounts, but you just can't get a straight answer. It is so frustrating. But what if this system designed to help you had a secret weapon? Something to cut right through all that noise? Well, let's get into it. So let's imagine you're in a formal dispute. You absolutely know there's a piece of paper, a contract, an invoice, something that could prove your entire case. But the other side has it, and they're just refusing to show it. Can they really do that? Can they just hide the evidence?
Let's make this real. You've formally asked to see the financial records because you think funds are being mismanaged. And they just say, no. It feels like you've just hit a solid brick wall. This is exactly the kind of thing that can stop a totally legitimate claim in its tracks. So what do? Where do you go from here?
Okay, so your next step is the STRATA Management Tribunal, or SMT. This is the special body that's built to handle exactly these kinds of disputes. And, this tribunal has tools to make sure the game is played fairly. One of its biggest powers? The ability to order people to reveal information.
Now, the official term for this is discovery and production of documents. Sounds complicated, right? But it's actually simple. It means everybody has to show their cards. The tribunal orders both sides to hand over any documents that are relevant to the case. This is all about fairness, making sure nobody gets ambushed with some secret piece of evidence.
All right, so the system seems pretty straightforward. The tribunal makes an order, and the documents should just appear. But what happens when things get tricky? What happens when one side decides to just ignore that order? What if they choose to defy the tribunal itself?
This right here is the critical question. A rule is only as good as its enforcement, right? If the tribunal orders the management to produce those financial records and they still refuse, does the whole thing just grind to a halt? Is there any real consequence for that?
Well, the answer is hiding in plain sight in the law itself, and it puts some serious weight behind the tribunal's words. The regulation starts with this very simple idea. Where any party fails to comply with such order, it perfectly sets the stage for what comes next.
This is where Regulation 40 comes into play. And believe me, this is the enforcement mechanism. This is the rule with some serious teeth. It's the answer to anyone who thinks they can just blow off a direct order from the tribunal. It doesn't just ask for compliance, it demands it, and the penalties are severe.
So here's the bottom line. The consequences are swift and they are devastating. If you're the claimant, the one who brought the case, and you refuse to hand over documents, guess what? The tribunal can dismiss your entire claim. Just like that. Case over. You lose. And if you're the respondent, the one being sued, and you refuse, the tribunal can strike out your entire defense. They basically act as if you never even bothered to defend yourself at all. And it doesn't even stop there. After taking a drastic step like dismissing the claim or striking out the defense, the tribunal can then make a final binding decision. So if your defense was struck out for hiding documents, that often means the tribunal will rule completely in favor of the claimant. It's pretty much a default judgment. The party who hid the evidence loses. Automatically.
So why are we focusing so much on this one little regulation? Because it's not just some procedural rule, It is the very bedrock of the tribunal's authority. It's what makes the whole system of dispute resolution actually work.
Let's just quickly break down why it's so important. Regulation 40 creates a level playing field. It stops one side from winning just by hiding the proof. It slams the door on anyone trying to drag a case out forever by not cooperating. But most of all, it gives the tribunal real authority, and it protects the integrity of the whole process. Without it, the tribunal's orders would just be suggestions.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. Regulation 40 isn't just about forcing people to hand over papers. It's a powerful statement about what justice really is. It leaves us with a pretty fundamental question, doesn't it? Without transparency, can there ever truly be justice? For anyone who's ever felt like they were being stonewalled, I think the answer is pretty clear.